Hello and welcome to the Pages to Pixels podcast, where we talk about new movies every week. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kirtana. And today we have a special guest joining us. Welcome, Chynna.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Chynna Williams was our classmate in film school where we studied screenwriting, and she is an excellent writer. Um, would you like to tell everyone about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Chynna Williams, and I am currently a social media assistant right now. So in the entertainment field, but more on the online social media space. And I still try to write. I definitely want to be in the TV entertainment space as a screenwriter. So I write every day. I write a lot of fantasies and urban fantasies. And yeah, and I've been in the Bay Area. I lived in the Bay Area before coming here, and I've been a California girl my whole life. So yeah, just happy to be in LA now in the entertainment side of things.
And Chynna has joined us today specifically because her thesis project was very similar to the film we're discussing today. We are talking about Ryan Coogler's Sinners today. What did you guys think of the film?
So I personally really loved it. But I feel like I'm a little biased towards Ryan Coogler because I love all of his films. I think he's an incredible director, and I love it when he teams up with Michael B. Jordan. I feel like they are kind of a match made in heaven with their movie ever since like Fruitvale Station. And I really enjoyed the production side of this movie. I thought it was a really well made film. And I also really love the historical elements. I thought he did a really good job at capturing the 1930s South and discussing the music and music with religion and all of that. So I thought it was a really great film.
Yeah, for a little context about the film, it is a like a historical horror of sorts. It's set in the Jim Crow South, and there's vampires in this world. Essentially, the movie happens largely over one particular night at a club, and the like what starts off as a wonderful evening of music and just general merriment takes a very dark turn. Um, I love the movie. What did you think, Kevin?
Oh, I also love the movie. I don't think that this is going to be an episode where there's any real like contrasting opinions. I really enjoyed it. I especially think the first um half of the movie being like a buildup of all of the characters that you're going to spend the rest of the movie with. I think that was such a smart choice in how they executed it. Like it never felt like boring. And largely like what I was hearing before I went to see the movie was, oh, it's really slow. But I feel like the pacing was really well done. I didn't really have a problem with it. I loved getting to see the different approaches to the twin characters, Smoke and Stack. You mentioned Michael B. Jordan, but no one mentioned Michael A. Jordan. So,
I thought the performances were excellent. Like there's that one scene at the very end when he's rolling a cigarette. Um, I thought it was just absolutely incredible. I was fully transported into this world that I'll admit I was not very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went back and read up about the history of the world, and holy
Yeah,
shit,
there was a
that's just
lot. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh my God, what is? Yeah,
no,
I
very
mean, like
interesting time period, very dark time period. But what I loved,
extremely.
yeah, but what I loved about his take on it is that he still managed to like incorporate comedy in such like a dark world. Like I found myself laughing at a lot of the scenes. Like I can't remember his name, but the one like drunkard, like like he was hilarious and like cornbread. And I just thought that was really smart of him because then it wasn't so heavy. Also, it's a vampire movie, so like you kind of have to make fun of it because it's,
Mhm.
you know, vampires tend to be like unserious, like in the film industry. But I also liked his historical elements of like the vampires he chose.
Yeah,
And so I thought that was a really cool take on he chose the Irish vampire, which we don't
right.
really, yeah, see often. So
No, it was very cool. I thought in terms of story, the screenplay just kind of like the minute it's like it just kind of pulled me in.
mhm.
Um like so my attention span is really shit. So very often I find myself pulling my phone out when I'm watching something, as hard as I try not to. And very few films have managed to keep me engaged like, from start to finish without having to look at my phone at all. And this was one of those. I didn't realize how much of a horror it was because I didn't watch the trailer. I just went in and there were like jump scares and I was like, what have I signed up for? And I mean, even though like the whole vampire element, I would say is meant to be a little absurdist, but like I just didn't feel the jump. It felt very organic and extremely well like thought out the way like things were introduced to you. It's almost as if the screenplay like very gently walked me into this very dark period of time.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought it was done like expertly. The dialogue was great. It did take me a little bit to start understanding it because it's not an accent I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
But it felt very authentic to the time.
Yes. Yeah. I thought everything was very authentic. Like my thesis was a little bit later in the Jim Crow era, it's like around the 50s, and this was more of like the 30s. And I thought just talking about the music and like, we have the jazz age and all that, like I thought that was really incorporated well. And with Sammie's character, I really loved his character. And he also, I feel like there's a lot of inspiration of Robert Johnson, who was a very famous musician and a very young one. And there's rumors that he like made a deal with the devil to be a star. And I think Sammie's character was definitely like inspired by Robert Johnson.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I also had a question. Why was his father so against him playing the kind of music he played? Like, is there like a religious connotation to it that I'm
I think
missing?
music is kind of a representation of the sin, just that he's playing music, but it's like who he's playing it for. There are people that are drinking, dancing, and the environment is quote filled with sin. Religious people back then, you devote your life to the family and to the like just like that type of lifestyle, as opposed to he's trying to go off and do his own thing, and his father doesn't really want him associating with smoke and stack because he knows that they're like bad people.
Yeah.
Got it. That's very interesting because so that's the other thing, right? It's not a religion or a culture that I'm familiar with. So I tried my very best to read up before I went in, but I feel like there's still layers of context that I'm like completely missing. I feel like maybe a second or a third watch will be a lot more rich, in general. But the music I thought was fantastic. So unfortunately, before I went into the movie, I saw a review that said, "Oh my God, that musical sequence is like everything." So until we hit that musical sequence, I was just like, which one? Like, I was just waiting for it. And it did not disappoint.
Yeah.
That sequence is one of the most like fantastical things I've ever seen in cinema. It just like brought me in and just transported me somewhere else. It was incredible.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great. Like, and the whole film hinted at like talking about music and especially with Sammie's character. And it's really interesting to talk about like the religion and like the music too, because his music is kind of what brought the vampires to the club. So it's kind of like his father almost like foreshadowed the whole thing, like happened. But then when that whole music scene was happening, I was like, this feels like almost a separate film on its own because it's like talking about the generations of music and just how it brings people together and it's not a simple thing. Like, yeah, so I thought it was a beautiful scene and I would really love to see like behind the scenes of that. So.
Yeah. I mean, I have goosebumps right now talking about it.
Yeah.
Apparently it took 45 days to film that scene. Or like 45 days of prep before they even started filming that scene.
Wow.
I think it was worth every minute.
Yes.
It was just, yeah. Go ahead, Kevin. I hope they publish the screenplay at some point because I think it'd be really cool to read how that was written.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see that too because in the pilot of my thesis, I have, a club scene, I have a like music scene, but I really loved his take because it was truly talking about like how music brings us together. And I would just really love to see how he talked about the direction and like, or how he wrote the direction. And because there's so many different time periods of music that were incorporated into it. And even the costumes and all of that, like it was just really well thought out. And um, so I'd love to like read the scene as well.
Yeah, my theater was packed, which was delightful.
Yeah.
I was also one of my friends told me very early, like about like I want to say like a month ago, to go and watch it at one of the theaters that Ryan Coogler had mentioned, but I didn't pay attention to that message, and I just like let it be. And then later, when it came time to book, I went back and I tried finding one of those screens, and they were all booked out for like days together. It was very, very cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, my theater was also packed, and I'm out in Calabasas, so it's not really very diverse here, but the theater that I was in, like there's a ton of different types of people watching the movie, and there was like different age ranges, and like there was a family that brought their kids to see it. Like it was really cool to see. I feel like I haven't seen that in a while. Like the last it's funny, I think the last movie I saw in theaters was the most recent Planet of the Apes movie, and that like I was the only person in that theater. And also my theater that I go to a lot, they don't get a lot of traction, but like it was pretty filled at this one, and everyone was gripped from like beginning to end. Everyone was laughing, and I feel like everyone in that theater felt like they could relate to it, which was really cool.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I mean, this is technically a studio film, like Warner Brothers made it.
Yes, yes.
But it was cool to see an actual story being told as opposed to an IP being milked.
Yes.
Because before this we did Minecraft. Thank you, Kevin, for that. And
You're the one who suggested Minecraft. I had already seen it. Let's clear the air.
no, but the point is, my thing is, it was so vastly different than a film like Minecraft, and I understand it's meant for a different audience and stuff like that. But it just gave me a little bit of hope because I feel like for the past few years, all we've ever seen are like factory-made studio. Like here is another IP, here's another Avengers film. You know what I mean?
Ryan Coogler made a deal with the studio executives to basically receive um, the percentage of the box office gross from the beginning of the theatrical run rather than after. So studio executives are kind of panicking because they're thinking that more creative directors are going to start doing that. What do you make of that decision? And do you think it was smart for this movie, smart for Ryan Coogler?
And I really hope many more creative people do that. I mean, studios are only like the only purpose that studios serve, in my opinion, is to pay for making the film and to distribute it. Like they don't deserve any of the money. It's like they're just like a fancy tool to make your film. So the more money we can take away from them, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good for Ryan Coogler for getting that deal, and I hope it does inspire a lot of other people to do that. Um, it's also cool. Sorry.
I wonder if it was like the. I wonder if that reason may be why Deadline, I believe it's Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter, they were when the movie first came out. There was like a tweet that was saying that like the they only grossed so much of this and their budget was this. It's like, so what? Like not every movie makes their money back in the opening weekend. Why are we pretending like Sinners would?
But also like it still made $61 million like in the first, like that's incredible, especially for like an original horror film. And like that, and I was reading up on that too, and like it even surpassed like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood like for its opening weekend. And a bunch of like other well-known people in the industry like spoke out about it. It's like Ben Stiller spoke out about it, even Patrick Schwarzenegger spoke out about it. Like it was kind of crazy that like we couldn't just celebrate that he still had success. And I feel like for some reason even when Black Panther came out, I feel like there was still backlash from like people didn't love how he handled that or Black Panther, but like he's an incredible director and like let's just celebrate that. And like he's still the number one movie right now. So it's crazy to me that people always have like some comment or like you can't just say like, oh, that was a really great film. And yeah.
Also, like to be honest, there is prejudice in Hollywood. It's quite rampant.
Yeah.
And newspapers like you mentioned, like Deadline and Hollywood Reporter or whatever. There have been multiple instances in the past where they've been called out for unfair headlines, for headlines that perhaps don't really reflect the situation and are definitely biased. So
Yeah.
it is, I think, important to take all of that with a pinch of salt. I also think it's because people feel threatened. It's because as a
Yeah.
studio, they realize that they actually need like that actual creativity still holds power.
Mhm.
And I just don't think anyone wants, like, if I was a studio, I would be terrified about a movie like this because it's just going to inspire more people to make like original, like well-made content.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I really do think that that's where a lot of the negativity is coming from,
Yeah.
mostly just fear, which is
Yeah.
great. I love it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I also feel like it's great that it's Ryan Coogler too, because like he's such a well-respected director.
Mhm.
And now I feel like more people like can think that they can make a movie like that, like an original film that doesn't have to be, an IP or anything. Like you
Mhm.
can whatever, like because also, for IP and adapted works, like they're gonna choose people that are in the industry to like write those films. So now I feel like this movie is like, oh, people are still watching original films. Like we can still write original films and maybe have a bit of hope.
Yeah. No, very true. I see exactly what you mean because even when like a massive like franchise like Marvel or like whatever,
Mhm.
they have people pitch on their films. So it's like, oh, we're gonna make the next Black Panther movie, for example. People come pitch on it, and then it's never really open to anyone that's new or creative.
Yeah.
So, hopefully this kickstarts something new here in Hollywood.
Mhm.
It feels like the reverse happens sometimes where there's like a creative director, they create something like really small, they win an Oscar or award, and then they're directing the next Marvel movie, and then they're never seen again. And
Yeah.
you're like, I'm so glad that Ryan Coogler did not fall into that trap, and that he's just
Hmm.
gonna what he wants. Um,
Yeah.
I will say I do have like mild criticism of the movie that I wanted to ask for your guys' opinion on, which was I have two thoughts. I feel like, but I think the one I want to focus on more is the ending, the climax. Um, I really liked like the final ending, like after the big vampire fight. But is it just me, or was I feel like the ending fight could have been a bit longer, or maybe the way that it was handled could have been better with just for spoilers, um the owner of the market's wife, Grace, she makes the sign for the club. She is so distraught over the idea that her family is going to be taken by the vampires that
Mhm.
she's like invites them in, and this is what leads to the climactic fight. And on one hand, I mean, I love that character, but I'm also like, is there a way we could have done that better? And then the climax just felt so abrupt. So I don't know. What did you think?
So I kind of agree with you, like somewhat. I think honestly, the movie could have ended at like the big, like once the vampires were killed. Like I thought that was such a great end. Sammy was able to kill the vampire with the guitar. Yeah, I just like I felt like that kind of concluded like again when we were talking about how music like it brings bad things but it also can kill. And I felt like that was a really good like climax, like a good end. But I almost felt like the like second ending almost with the KKK like was almost like a separate film. Like I
Mhm.
feel like it could have been a film of like Smokestack and then like the KKK. I feel like it wasn't because he came in the beginning, we saw him in the beginning, but for a large part of the film, like we didn't really see that character again. And I felt like the ending was a bit rushed too, like with the other, like it was a great scene. Like I think Kirsten had touched upon it, like right before he killed. Like it was a really well done scene, but it did feel rushed in the end. I didn't mind like the grocery store clerk. I think that was actually a really important significance of the film because that was like I feel like Ryan Coogler was trying to incorporate a lot of aspects of what made the American South. And there was a lot of, Asian, like Chinese and community that worked the grocery stores. And I feel like her character was important. Um, so that didn't bother me really, but I think the end did feel a bit rushed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I actually like both of those things were not an issue for me. I was just in for the ride. I loved it.
Yeah.
With your comment, Kevin, I see where you're coming from. I see how like that decision felt a little impulsive or like a little like for plot reasons.
Yeah.
But I guess I kind of get it also because I would be terrified also if like my family was like she knows that there's like a good chance of her dying. Like why not just like do it fighting, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of understood that decision. With the KKK slaughterhouse reveal, I was so I was just so shaken by the concept of that I didn't like stop to think about like, oh, but like, is this working the pacing for me? I was just like, holy shit. Like, I just think that this movie's story was so gripping for me that I was just able to look past like filmmaking and the elements of that,
Yeah.
which is very rare. I genuinely enjoyed the film. I think my only sort of bump was that I felt like the screenplay kind of spoon-fed some of the information because every time there had to be like a reveal of sorts, like we were shown what the character was probably thinking. Um, Even in that last cigarette scene that I was talking about, we cut back and we see his memories. I just thought that a lot of
Yeah.
it was like the implication, like everything was already very strongly implied. Like we didn't need to see, the actual like thing happen. That was really my only bump in this film, and even that I was like happy to look past.
Yeah.
I love the secret ending.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was great. Michael B. Jordan is so good. I mean, even between like he plays both Smoke and Stack, and it was done like so well. Like I didn't need anyone to call out his name or anything to know which character was like in the room, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that's such a hard like role to play.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it a lot. Like I saw it in The Social Network, like with the Winklevoss twins. But I won't mention the actor's name. So like that was really the only like the first time that I've seen something like that. But I thought Michael B. Jordan did an excellent job. I really hope he gets an Oscar nomination. Like I yeah, like and he's, been in the industry for a very long time and every character he plays, he does it so well. And even when he was, child actor, like he was so good. And I think he also finds inspiration when working with Ryan Coogler. So I feel like he can pull out those like different sides with the production of Ryan Coogler. And yeah, I thought all the actors were really great. I really loved Sammie's character and actor. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was so strong. All of the performances. I think Best Picture nom for sure,
Yeah.
Best Director nom for sure, and I think Best Actor nom.
Hmm.
These are the three I'm calling.
Yeah.
Let's
Get all of those and music possibly. If it's all, I'm sure there's some that are like older songs that they repurposed in the movie, but there is an original song in there, correct? I think with Samuel's song about his dad.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know.
we'll look it up. I don't know off the top of my head.
I also wanted to talk about the secret ending too, because I thought that was really good. I also, the actor that plays older Sammie is a very well-known blues musician. So I thought that was really cool that he specifically chose like Buddy Guy to play older Sammie. And then again, because like we keep talking about how music was such an important aspect of this movie, and we still get that generation of like he's still playing like I don't know what era that was in the end, but like music will always change and grow, and but Michael B. Jordan will still,
Yeah.
a vampire at the same age. And
With Mary as a side girl.
No, I love that scene. It
Yeah.
was like I just kind of thought it was just gonna be one of those like peaceful ending things where it's like, oh, we're just gonna play out into the sunset and that's it. And then they showed up and I was like, damn. See, I kind of knew that he was gonna survive because there was no way he was gonna kill his own twin. Like, I just didn't feel like that was possible. And they didn't show us the thing. So I was like,
yeah, they didn't show us like them burning up in the end. So
yeah.
yeah.
No, it was yeah, it's such a great movie. Every time I think about it, I just go down a spiral.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely want to watch it again.
Yeah.
I have the time to do that. But
What would you say? Did you guys have standout scenes or elements you wanted to talk
I
about?
would say speaking on Grace, the grocery clerk again, I really love the scene where it's like a one shot and it follows her daughter who walks across the town and then grabs her. We follow her back and then she's like seeing everything. That was a great introduction to the character. Like you knew instantly, like she is more important than Bo, her husband. Like she's going to be the one that lasts longer, and she has her own like sort of agenda that she brings to the table. I really, in general, I think all of the characters really they handle very well. I think, the drunkard guy is played by Delroy Lindo. He's hilarious, but he still has his own agenda. Like he's a comedic side character, but he's fueled by alcohol.
yeah, I thought all the character introductions were really great. And I mean, I really loved the club scene. I think that was like my favorite scene. It was so incredible. But I feel like, I mean, I don't think there was really a bad scene in the movie. Like every scene was really well thought out and just really played out well. And I believed all the characters, like with their performances. And I can't remember her name, but like the kind of Wiccan character that knew about, like, I thought she was really great. And one thing I did notice, like, in terms of the like magic and all, and like the vampire isms and stuff, like, I wish there was a little bit more of a unique way to like introduce like the rules. We all kind of know like vampires need to be let in and all, like, I wish there was more of like a unique take on like those things, but that's just like really like nitpicking, like small nitpicking, because I do like writing fantasies, and I feel like there's fun ways to like introduce the rules of the world.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean, but I did like that they separated it from religion. I liked that. I think that was my standout scene is at the very end when Sammie starts to pray, and the vampire dude is like, "That's not gonna work," and they just pray with him. I just like was terrified because usually that's the answer, right? Like in most of pop culture that we see, like when prayers start getting introduced, that is introduced as the all-powerful thing that saves you. So it was very cool to see that there was a very different take, and I understand there was like a lot of like cultural context to that as well. Very, very cool. I thought it was so smartly done.
Yeah.
Great.
Rating.
Yeah.
So if you're new here, or just for a reminder, we do our ratings on the script coverage scale, which means that pass means that we don't like the movie. Consider means we think it's just okay, and recommend for when we really love it. And with that, I'll leave it up to our special guest to start the ratings train.
I would definitely recommend the movie, and it would be a high recommend. I was very impressed by this film, and it's been a while since Ryan Coogler has done an original. Well, even Fruitvale Station was based off of a true story, but I was just really captured right away from the performances, from the production. I was really transported to this world. And I thought he did a really great job directing, and I thought the acting was really good. And again, I really loved the production of it, and you could tell it was an expensive film, but they did a really good job at, you know, putting us back in time and all of that. And I'm not like a horror film person. I don't watch a lot of horror, but because it's vampires, I was like, I can, let this one slide. And I actually watched an interview with Michael B. Jordan, and he's not a fan of horror either. We don't really see him in horror. Like, he's kind of a scaredy cat, he said. But he was like, because Ryan Coogler gave me the script, he was like, it was an immediate yes. So, yeah, so I definitely would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very strong recommend for me as well. I feel like I said most of what I was thinking, but everyone should watch this film. It is incredible.
Yep. And for me too, I feel like, I'm a big horror nerd, and I feel like this delivered a lot of what I was looking for. Especially thinking of the ending vampire kill. It looked so metal with the literal metal coming out of his head. Like, it was so awesome. I really, really loved how intricate and just like creative this movie was. Couldn't recommend it more.
Yeah. Yeah. What a great film. What would you recommend to somebody who likes a film like Sinners?
Well, I probably have to recommend a show, Lovecraft Country. It's a comp for my thesis. It is also set in, the Jim Crow South, and it has a lot of historical elements that, it's inspired by. And I think they're vampire-like creatures. They aren't specifically said that they're real vampires, but I think there's a lot of really cool horror elements that relate to Sinners. So yeah, definitely recommend Lovecraft Country.
Very cool. How about you, Kevin?
I'm going to recommend another Catherine Bigelow movie. I recommended one a few episodes ago, but I'm going to recommend Near Dark. It kind of takes place also in the South. It's like on a farm, and it's about this farm boy that's kind of like abducted by this group of vampires. Bill Paxton is one of the main guys, and he's really creepy in it. I don't want to say much more than that, but I just think that Sinners and this movie kind of remind me of each other in how it was filmed and the location. It really just fits with whatever kind of vibe you're watching, and the vampire movies. So yeah, I think people who like Sinners will also like this movie.
Very cool. Horror is not my genre at all, like in the slightest.
Yeah.
But I will recommend a Hindi horror film called Bulbul. It is on Netflix, and it is not set in the Jim Crow South, but it is also it has a lot of social justice elements to it, and it is very craftful in the way it brings in those themes without it overwhelming the genre, which is what I think Sinners also did. So yeah, Bulbul on Netflix is what I would recommend. It's about ghosts, and it's very paranormal and kind of scary. So that's the warning, I guess, before going into it. But yeah, I recommend Bulbul from on Netflix. What else have you guys been watching?
What have I been watching? I feel like I've been rewatching a lot of things. I've been wanting to get back into like the teen drama. So I've been rewatching The OC and also Gossip Girl because Blake Lively's been talked about a lot. And I actually never finished Gossip Girl like when it was airing. I watched a good chunk of it, so I'm on the final season finally. And I just started The Last of Us season 2 last night, so because I forgot that was starting. But yeah, I've actually been watching a lot of movies too. I just watched the Jesse Eisenberg and Karen Culkin movie.
Oh, Real Pain.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to say that I called the nomination right after I walked out of the movie theater. Just saying. No, it's a great film.
Watching Common Side Effects on Max. It's about this guy Marshall who has a mushroom that could basically heal anyone of any disease or injury that they have. And his friend, she like wants to use it with her pharmaceutical company that she works for to basically save the world. But the show's kind of more about like how big pharma is like really like dangerous. So yeah, that's like it's an Adult Swim animated comedy, and it's really funny.
It's interesting that you said an animated thing because I just restarted BoJack. I've always loved that show, and I've always been a little like, oh, I don't want to watch it again because it's so depressing. But I don't know what happened. I was just like, fuck it. So that's what I've been watching. It's an incredible show. Fun story. We once went to an open house in Burbank because somebody I know was looking to buy a house, and it happened to be the house of one of the creators of BoJack. So we walk in, and the realtor's like just showing us around the place, and there were like these original cells from the BoJack show, and I was like, this must be a really intense fan. And then we saw like all the like I think it was a Peabody or whatever, and I was like, what is this? And then we realized whose house it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, very cool.
To Adam Conover, who's on that show. And one time I did say something to him. I said, "Are you Adam Conover?" And he was like, "I sure am." And he just kept walking.
With that, we come to the end of this week's episode of the Pages to Pixels podcast. I'm Chynna.
I'm Kevin.
And thank you so much, Chynna, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
For having you.
Yeah, I love films.
Is there something cool you're working on that you'd like to plug?
Well, right now I am working on a YouTube channel. So I have had it for a while, but I kind of just made it more public recently. And it's my second love apart from film and TV is K-pop. So I react and review a lot of K-pop music and music videos and albums and all that stuff. And I also have a second channel where I am talking about books, and I also want to incorporate more film and TV on that channel as well. Yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Really, K-pop, I wouldn't have been able to tell at all from your room. Like, there's just
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
I will add the links to both your channels in our description here.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you again in a brand new episode next week. Thank you.
Great, thank you.